natural gas field at President Trump's request. The South Pars gas field, the world's largest natural gas reserve, is shared with Qatar and is critical to both Iran and Qatar's economies. Netanyahu says Iran no longer has the capability to enrich uranium or produce ballistic missiles.
We are winning, and Iran is being decimated. Iran's missile and drone arsenal is being massively degraded and will be destroyed. Hundreds of their launchers have been destroyed. Their stockpiles of missiles are being hit hard, and so are the industries that produce them. That's important.
Netanyahu speaking at a press conference for foreign correspondents yesterday. In a Truth Social post on Wednesday, President Trump saying Israel will not launch further attacks on South Pars unless Iran decides to attack Qatar. If that happens, the president says the U.S. will, quote, blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field. Oil prices falling today as leading European nations and Japan offer to help secure the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. outlines moves to boost oil supply. Brent futures falling over $1.50 this morning, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures are down $1.30. The French Navy seizing an oil tanker in the Western Mediterranean today. President Emmanuel Macron saying the vessel belongs to Russia's shadow fleet. French officials say the operation was carried out with British allies. The shadow fleet helps Moscow export oil despite Western sanctions. Macron called the ships war profiteers that violate the law of the sea while financing Russia's war effort. France escorted the ship to an anchorage point for further inspection at the prosecutor's request. This is the second such interception by France in recent months. Meanwhile, Ukraine is looking to resume talks with the U.S. and Russia. President Volodymyr Zelensky saying yesterday he sent a delegation to the U.S. The trilateral talks have been on hold while the Iran war dominates international attention. The White House has not confirmed any meeting with the Ukrainian delegation. Zelensky also said Ukraine is helping 5 Middle East and Gulf countries counter Iranian drone attacks. The U.S. and European countries have also requested Ukraine's support. Oil prices hit a high of over $119 a barrel before coming back down. This amid the Strait of Hormuz blockade and other attacks. Joining us now to discuss is Tim Doscher, Executive Director of Unleash Prosperity. Tim, good afternoon. Good to see you as always. So talk to us from your perspective here. How much of this price increase, in your view, is driven by actual supply disruptions versus market speculation? And is there an element of overreaction?
Yes, yes, and yes. I think, Don, that's the best way I can put it. I think that right now we are in the sprint towards the 4 to 6 week mark that President Trump laid out a few weeks back when the war started in Iran, and he said this is going to be. He actually mentioned all of this. You know, we have to watch this. We know there's going to be a temporary setback. You know, things were going great, but then we had to do this. So this will be temporary. And President Trump, I think, is and the great military is on track right now for taking out all of those ballistic missile launch sites in Iran, taking out their ability to create more drones, taking out their ability to launch those drones. And so I think we're seeing right now an effort to take care of what we need to take care of first, and then that will make it a lot easier to secure that strait so we can open it back up, fully open it back up, and make sure those prices can go back down. I am not worried fundamentally that there is a problem. America is producing more oil and natural gas than ever before, and we continue to export it to the world. And I think that's a big reason, Don, why we're not seeing these prices hike up even further.
Okay, so you're saying if the blockade, if the war ends, is resolved, prices will come down?
I absolutely, yeah, 100% they will. And I think that once there's a little bit more clarity in the scene, they're going to fall even further. And I think clarity really is really the thing that we're looking for here. Is the supreme leader actually alive? Who's running the show? Is there negotiation on the horizon? Is there going to be a surrender? Who is going to be brokering that surrender? There's a whole lot of things at play, Don, that lead it to sort of this questioning uncertainty that also drives up those prices. So if we open the straits, that's great. That's wonderful. But then we also have to get this thing over and open that strait up as quickly as possible.
So I think you brought up earlier that the events in the strait will relatively have less impact on the U.S., right? Because the U.S. produces a significant amount of oil domestically, and it doesn't really, rely on the Strait of Hormuz waterway that much.
Well, just remember, oil is it's a commodity. So, the price is what the price is globally, and so we want to continue to contribute to that. And so the strait does affect the price. So we do need to open that up. But I will say this about our own domestic production. Natural gas prices have hardly even jumped since this whole thing started. And that is a testament to President Trump's drill baby drill policies and bringing drills online, renewing and issuing leases and lands to continue to drill, continue to bring this out of the ground. And then also you saw the refinery that they're going to open in Texas, the first one since the 1970s that we're going to bring online here. All of this lends to our ability to continue to contribute to this global supply. And here in America, that's another reason we're not seeing prices as high as they should be. Now, granted, I'm not going to deny gas prices at the pump are definitely higher. That is a problem. And we definitely will have to see a temporary pain for a long-term benefit in removing Iran from this catbird seat where they're able to basically have the say over global oil prices by being right there at the Strait of Hormuz. If we take that out, that's a huge game shifter for the global oil and natural gas price.
Right, a small price to pay for long-term benefits. Can I get your reaction to what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said, that the president was considering another oil release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Your thoughts on this move?
Well, look, I think the SPR, this is exactly why we have the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. I really do believe, though, that it is a temporary thing. It's a little bit of a blip that cannot be the end-all and be-all. It's fine. It's exactly what we should be using it for. But I also wanted to say, too, that we are in worse shape now because President Biden did a release from the SPR right before the presidential election. It was a campaign thing. So he kind of drained it. And then oil prices went up. So we weren't able to replenish it at a lower price like President Trump did in his first term. So we're sort of at a deficit already at this point with our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And that's thanks to Biden's bad policies. It's thanks to his political decision to release oil from that. And so while the SPR is a good thing, the best thing that we can possibly do is continue to renew and to issue permits to drill, continue to export that oil abroad, and obviously open up that Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. And by the way, the left, the Democrats are trying to shut down our ability to export our oil and natural gas abroad, saying that we need to hoard it for ourselves. That's a very bad idea. It would not do what they intended it to do and make prices higher.
Okay, Tim, you bring up the Biden administration. I'll just follow up on that point. Maybe you can compare and contrast for us the current administration's approach to energy versus previous administrations.
It's night and day. It is an incredible difference. Look, there are rigs all off of the shore of California that have been completely shut down. No drilling, no ability to get that oil out of the water. I mean, there's abundant resources there, abundant resources in the state of Alaska, abundant resources in Montana and Wyoming, and permits that I keep talking about were basically halted under the Biden administration. Hardly any permits were issued to go after the oil, go after what's in the ground. Don, we did a study here at Unleash Prosperity that said we have $13 trillion worth of oil, natural gas, and rare earth minerals under our feet right here in the United States of America. And the only thing that's holding it up is our ability to go get it. And so what Biden did was he took a laid-back approach to drill baby drill, to mine baby mine, and that set us back years because it takes a while to drill in and get all this stuff out of the ground. And so compared to that to now, we are building on what Trump did in his first term, and we're already seeing the results of it, especially now that Trump has taken an international approach to oil. You saw what he did in Venezuela. You saw how he's sanctioning Russia. You saw how, what he's trying to do in Iran right now. This is a huge boon to the U.S. Energy security. And by the way, most importantly, it's a big shot across the bow to our adversaries in China.
Okay, Tim, just one final thing. In terms of green energy, I mean, it's already been played out. If we look into our European allies, European countries, years of moving away from domestic fossil fuel production over there, pursuing green energy. What has that led to?
Don, I'm so ashamed that I didn't mention the green energy agenda of the Biden administration. And that's why you have your job, because you keep things on track. That is one of the biggest problems with our energy situation today. Biden subsidized green energy here to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, saying, hey, we're gonna give you government money in order to bring in electric vehicles, in order to stop burning coal and building more windmills and solar panels and things that don't actually produce as much energy as we need. That was the Biden agenda. It was the green energy canard that drove us into the deficit that we are in at this point. The green energy scam you see it played out in Europe, as you mentioned. It goes nowhere, and in fact, people are rejecting it everywhere they can. They're supposed to be, internal combustion engine free by 2030 in Europe. They're barely at 18% EV or hybrid at this point in Europe because nobody can afford it. Nobody wants the EVs. Nobody wants them. So the left needs to stop playing big government, and they need to start playing to what the people actually want and need in order to make life more affordable and better for everyone.
So, Tim, we have a guest who lives in Europe, and he says, compared to the U.S., I mean, their gas prices, we're talking about $7, maybe $8 a gallon. And he says that's largely due to perhaps the energy policies over there. Well, Tim, thank you so much for speaking with us today. Always a pleasure.
Don, have a great weekend, man. We'll see you.
You as well. A group of lawmakers saying legislation is needed to protect Americans from the Chinese Communist Party